I went and looked at your assignments. Is it still okay to share it with everybody?
Yes.
So set clear expectations for each front office role daily. Would you guys say that's an objective goal or more subjective?
It's not very measurable.
Correct. It's not. If it's not measurable, it would be what? It's a subjective goal. All right. Now that doesn't mean that it's incorrect. It doesn't mean that it's wrong. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't use it. It's impossible to have nothing but objective goals. So let's take a look at the next one. Build a culture of communication.
Yeah, that's subjective. That's more objective. You've got weekly individual meetings.
Yeah. See, if you have weekly individual meetings, that makes it objective. Very good. I create policy and procedures for front office workflow in 2 to 3 months, in 3 to 4 months. What do y'all think?
Very objective.
That's very objective. All right. So for the team, improving productivity. What do you think? It's subjective unless we put some measurements on it, correct? Then for the team, check in and work in wait list. See, all of these are going to be subjective unless we tie in some objective measurable, all right? And so then the team members, she wrote down what each person does. And then down here, new reference coordinator, follow policy, reduce negativity, prioritize CKD 4 and 5 patients, process referral within 2 days, check in patients without bypassing warning. Do all those move more towards subjective or objective?
Subjective, because they're measurable.
I'm not going to say don't use a subjective. For example, reduce negativity. That's very subjective. Okay? So when you sit down with her and you say, look, I need you to reduce your negativity, then you're probably going to have to give her examples. Okay. So even with examples, it still stays subjective, but that's okay. If you give her examples here, follow policy, that's a little bit too subjective. I would want to say, okay, what policies are you thinking about? So Crystal, let me ask you this. Whenever you wrote this, follow policy, what did you have? Give me one example of what you meant by her following policy.
All referrals are processed within 2 working business days. We look at measurable lab intakes.
So when you said follow policy, you meant this as one of the examples. I would say process referrals within 2 days. Okay, what's another policy that you want her to follow?
Also is reaching out to the referring provider status on patients.
Give me a measurable.
2 days.
2 days. So y'all see the difference between follow policy and this right here? Because if you tell me follow policy and I say, okay, what do you mean? And then you tell me what the policies are that you want me to follow, then don't tell me to follow policy. Just tell me what you want me to follow and put it and you would put it in the form. Yep. So then tell me a little bit about prioritizing CKD and 5 patients. What is that?
CKD 4 and 5 patients are patients that are very close to starting dialysis.
Okay, so here, that's very objective. That's measurable. Check in patients without bypassing warnings. Seems objective. Reduce negativity. That's more subjective. And I'm going to put on here, this is more of a soft skills, professional skills. What you're telling me is my technical skills that you want me to improve are these, and my professional skills. So if I was Tyra and Crystal was sitting down with me and she said, all right, here's the things I need you to improve. Then she would break it up into technical skills, professional skills, and tell me each one of these things and explain them to me. Reduce negativity. Here, you're going to have to give me an example. What do you mean by reduce negativity? Is she always ho-humming? Is she always late? What do you mean by negativity? How is she showing negativity?
If we're in a meeting, she always finds a way to put a negative spin on something. So I have to follow up immediately with something positive.
So reduce negativity is broad and general. So now we got to make it a little more clear. So watch, reduce negativity, okay? Speak to the positive, then the negative. That's what you want her to do, right? Try to keep it into one very short line. It's still not measurable, but it's not as subjective because you're a little more clear about that. I think Crystal could sit there and give her a very simple 10-minute, 15-minute overview of what you're wanting her to improve on. What do you think, Crystal?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so now tell me, on the first one, how well is she doing? Is she doing a great job? Is she doing an okay job? Or is she doing a very low job? How would you rate her? 1, 2, or 3 on the first one, process referrals?
3.
by putting a 3, you're saying you're doing really
2.
good. You see how fast you changed? You see how fast you changed? Watch. If you tell somebody that they're doing a 3, your message would be this: you're doing great in this, but I don't want you to stop putting your foot on the gas. I need you to keep this up and going. I want you to stay at a 3 for the next 6 weeks. That's why I'm going to be monitoring it, and I'm going to be talking about it to you for the next 6 weeks. So even though it's on the list, don't think that by me keeping it as a 3, I got to know. I want to see 6 to 8 weeks of consistently keeping it at a 3. I think it's encouraging for you to tell people that they're doing a 3-level job and that you're monitored, because what you're looking for is not for them to have reached 3, but for them to have reached 3 and stay consistent over a period of 6 to 8 weeks. Do you see the message?
Yes.
But you told me that it's more of a 2, right?
Yes.
So the message here becomes, hey, Tyra, you're doing well in this. Notice you're not a 1. Okay. You're a 2. So you're doing a good job on this, but I want you to get to a 3 within the next 2 weeks. And then I want you to stay at 3 for the next 6 weeks. But for now, I'm going to put you at a 2. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay. If she was at a 1, it would be this. Hey, Tyra, listen. Okay. Do you notice how it's 1? Okay. That's red. Okay. 2 is yellow. 3 is green. 1 is red. That's not good. You need to pay attention to this. If you stay on 1 for the next 3 weeks on this, I'm going to have to write you up. I don't want to write you up. I need you to pay attention to this because this is critical, and I need to make sure that you can get to a 2 within the next 2 to 3 weeks. Tell me how I can help you. Tell me what your issues are. Do you need more training? How can I help you? See what I'm saying? So the urgency is a little bit different. You're still keeping a positive tone. You're letting her know that you're at a 1 on this. I need you to get to 2. Do you see the difference of how you would coach a 3, a 2, and a 1? Okay. Because the goal of all these is to get to 3 over how long of a period of time? 6 to 8 weeks. Okay. After 6 to 8 weeks of you staying green, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take this off. I'm going to take that off right there. And you know what? I'm going to add another thing I need you to work on. So you're always having this improvement conversation. You're not just wanting to use your one-on-one coaching to address negative things. You want to address positive things. And anything that is a 2 or a 3 should be considered positive. Red is what is the negative. What I wanted to get to is being able to say this. All right, Tyra she's at a 1 on this one. She's at a 2 on this one. She on this one is at a 3. Check patience without bypassing. Okay, negative this one. Ooh, she does this a lot. Okay, so I'm trying to speak positive, then negative. So score this for me real quickly. All right, so we put a 2 for the first one. Okay, referring providers within 2 days. A 1, 2, or 3?
2.
The other one?
3.
This one?
3.
And then this one?
Needs work.
All right, that would be a what?
1.
This is how I would put it. All right, so what do you notice right off the bat? What did I do?
You're emphasizing the positive.
Yes.
Exactly. So if there was another technical skill that was a 1, let's say she's really bad at that. So you see in the technical skill section, they're in order: 3, 2, 1. See what I'm saying? And then if I had professional skills and I want her to become a little better on the phone, like smile more on the phone, and that's a 2. See, you see that? You see how I'm ordering it? 3, 2, 1s in the 2 categories. Okay. In professional skills, she needs to smile more on the phone. And her negativity, that's a serious issue. Why? Because I need this to be done, important because it's a 1, and I need this to be done, it's important as a 1. All right.
Well, you're practicing what you're preaching. You've got speak first to the positive and then the negative, and that's what you're doing here.
Well, that's very good observation, Jim. That's pretty good.
I agree 100%. You know, a lot of times in management, you accent the negativity first. When you put the positive last, they focus in on the negativity. But when you start with what they're doing correctly, you know, I like the way it is 3, 2, 1, prioritizing. And so by the time you get to 1 and you're done, hopefully you have a clear understanding of how you get that person to a level 3.
Correct. Very good.
Ones are not good.
You're climbing people to performance. Do you see this?
Yes.
You've set a very objective way of understanding what does it mean for me to be a high performer. Okay. And these are the areas I'm working on.
It does bring about a more productive meeting with an employee. My only question is it possible, or should it be a mixture of the technical and the professional, whereas you're keeping all the more positive things together?
So in other words, if I'm going positive to negative in the technical, and then I get to professional skills, now I'm back to positive. Now I'm back to positive over here. What you're saying is, let's just go ahead and put them in the order of their 3, 2, 1s, even though there might be a mixture of positive and negative. Is that correct?
Yes. On the technical, coming down to the 1, and then at that point, that person is in that frame of mind, and then you're trying to bring them back up, but you do smile.
It would be more like this. I'm very okay with that recommendation. What I would say is put a little star next to the professional skills so that you differentiate that. That's a great observation, because once I get into red, my next move back up to positive is going to not seem as sincere.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? Very good observation. Deborah, for that, you get 1,285 points. Everybody else needs to catch up. Ha! And what do you guys think about that? And a lot more into what does it mean build clear, objective, measurable goals with 3, 2s, and 1s, and how to put them in a small space of paper. The smaller the space and the clear is, the easier it is for me to have a 10, 15-minute conversation on a weekly basis. When we think of me sitting down with my team member to update them on their progress and to sit down with them and give them feedback, we think in terms of, I'm going to have to write a whole performance review. And so we make this very difficult conversation instead of being able to do it in short 10, 15-minute segments. If I don't clarify my goals, then everything else is not possible. If I can define your goals in clear language, I'm able to do all this in a cycle and then repeat it every week and every month. I've been coaching a company, and long story short, one of the supervisors has not been sitting down with her team members once every week or once every other week to talk to them about their progress. Okay, she just has, and that's the skill that we've been training everybody. Well, if we followed up on her and, hey Beth, we noticed that you haven't been updating your form, you haven't been talking to your people. What's going on? And she was very courteous, but she sent us a good amount of reasons why she couldn't. And she said, therefore, I just don't have time. My email and my phone conversation with her yesterday was this: you have to make it a non-negotiable that you can never be too busy to where you can't sit down with your people for 10, 15 minutes and go over that list of performance factors where you express to them how well it is that they're doing. And if you don't tell them how well that they're doing on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, then I can guarantee you that 3 will soon become a 2. That 2 will soon become a 1, and that 1 will become unchangeable attitude. And what makes the difference, y'all, is being able to commit that you're going to sit down with each one of your team members at least once every 2 weeks and have the conversation with them. But it's impossible to have the conversation if we don't first learn how to make it that simple, like I'm showing to you on the screen. If we make it more complicated than this, you are never going to want to sit down with your people, because it takes too long to come up with the 5, 7 items that I'm trying to communicate. But if you have this list, Crystal, and you've scored me 3, 3, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, in 2 weeks, what are we going to talk about? The same thing.
Same thing. Yeah.
Unless new things came up, but that usually doesn't happen a whole lot. Okay. If it does, it does. But then all you got to do is update me on whether 3 still a 3, whether 2 is now a 3, whether 2 is going down to 1, or whether 1's not changing. You see what I'm saying? All you're telling me is the new score. So you could make this very easy, but we make it so complicated, it's impossible to sit with our team members for 15 minutes every 2 weeks because we haven't made it this easy. So what do y'all think your assignment's going to be? I'm going to go into your documents and I'm going to create that 4th column, and I want you to populate them. And even if you have to make them up, Jim, you don't have team members, make them up.
Okay.
Okay. Try to get as realistic as possible and make it 1 sentence. If it doesn't fit within that line that I gave you, it's too wordy. What I want to ask is if one of you will share some of your work.
I'd be happy to share. Okay.
All right. This is how that should look like. If I were to talk to Jim and say, all right, Jim, so I hear you have two employees. How are they doing? And then Jim says, well, they're doing pretty good. And Jim says, well, look, let me tell you a little bit about my team members. There's Peter and there's Mark. Their overall performance is a 2 out of 3. On the right-hand side, I have the bullets of what they should be performing at. And you'll notice in the parentheses is where I've rated them to where they are doing well, not doing well. And this is what I monitor and sit down with them, because my goal is to get all these up to 3. And I'm encouraged with Peter. I'm actually encouraged with both of them but I'm able to give more delegated authority to Peter because Peter has a lot more on his plate than Mark does. With that right there, I can have a whole lot of confidence that Jim knows how to be a great manager. And he is being a great leader to these guys because he has gotten down and he knows how to set up measurable, see, smart, specific, applicable, realistic, manageable, timely goals. And I know the goals aren't just fluff. They're not all subjective. They're very specific. They're very measurable, and they're written down to where I can see them. And I know he's going to talk to me about these things on a daily basis. This is what that should look like. We can go to the next level of what to do with these. Thank you all very much. Thank you all for being part of this class. Bye-bye.
Everybody.